Imagine this, your child grows up, they are in college, they are sitting in the masjid with other students, and the imam asks them, have everyone read a single ayah from the Quran. But what happened to your child? Your child freeze because they cannot do that. And do you know that every moment will feel like a heavy stone on them? How do you think your child will feel at that moment when everyone is able to do it, but they only cannot do it? They feel embarrassed, they feel ashamed of themselves, and sometimes they feel some resentment about the Quran altogether, about Islam. And this is because you've not invested the right way in them when they're growing up. And the scariest thing I want to tell you is that the future of your child right now is being written today by the choices that we make as parents. Assalamu alaikum, this is Imam Muhammad. I'm the founder and also teacher here at Mahir Academy for Quran and Islamic Studies. Today I want us to talk together as parents, myself, and see the trajectory of our kids in the next 5, 6, 10 years. What will be their situation? Will they see themselves and feel proud and feel happy and say, Alhamdulillah, I'm glad my parents has invested or have invested this time in me learning the Quran and connecting more deeper with the Quran. Why does it really even matters to learn to recite the Quran? You know, a lot of people, even Christians or non-Muslims, will say, why are you forcing this kid to learn to recite the Quran? We as Muslims, we know the importance of learning to recite the Quran and connecting deeper with the Quran. It is not optional for you to have your child to learn to read the Quran or connect with the Quran. It's the covenants that we made with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is the guide of our life. Allah mentioned in Surah Al-Isra, Allah says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إن هذا القرآن يهدي للتي هي أقوم ويبشر المؤمنين الذين يعملون الصالحات أن لهم أجرا كبيرا. That this the Quran, it guides to which is most upright, and it gives glad tidings to those mu'minun, the believers who do righteous good deeds, because the Quran will guide you to make the right decision in life, and also to tell them that they have great reward with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There was a time recently, 2 weeks ago, I had a brother, and this is one of the reasons why I say Quran learn is not negotiable, is important. He's a grown-up, his family have invested in him to learn, study and all that. They've not invested heavily in Quran for him anyways, unfortunately. He cannot read, he doesn't really connect to the Quran, and is at the point of committing suicide. He's already achieved great milestone in life. But guess what? It comes to the time in which the parents should reap the benefits of him, and then he felt the life is miserable to him. The life does not make sense to him. So I'm not saying your child will have that situation, but I'm saying this is some kind of things that's going on in the mind of people. Once they reach a level in their life and things turn the other way, they don't know how to navigate life. But when the Quran is part of the life of someone, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will use that to guide them, inshallah. And that's why today you don't want to toy with connecting the mind of a child to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, connecting their mind to Islam, and specifically to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the Quran. Rasulullah mentioned a hadith of Aisha anha. He mentioned that al-mahiru bil-Quran مع السفرة الكرام البررة والذي يقرأ القرآن ويتتعتها فيه وهو عليه شاق له أجران. Meaning, he said, the one who recites the Quran fluently and perfectly, on the day of Qiyamah, they will be in the line and the companion of the Malaika. Imagine, and those who recite the Quran and struggle to recite it, and they try to pronounce the word, they have 2 rewards, meaning the reward of recitation and the reward of the effort. There's goodness to learning to recite the Quran in this world. Rasulullah mentioned many benefits of reciting Surah Al-Baqarah, for instance. Imagine, I told this brother, do you know how to recite the Quran? He said, no. What do I ask him to do? Do you know how to do Astaghfirullah? Say Astaghfirullah. We settled the issue that he was having. It's a so minor issue, but because his mind is not ready to prepare for challenges in life, he was overwhelmed. He has learned and achieved higher degrees and all that, but guess what? That does not really help him to make real life decision emotionally. So this is why your child needs to learn the Quran and connect with the Quran, because aside from your child getting embarrassed in the future when everyone is reciting and they're proud to say they are Muslims, but they cannot even read the Surah Al-Fatiha correctly, and this will be a shame not just to your child but to yourself as well. If you're still on earth, it will be a shame to you. If you're not on earth, your child will feel like, why has mommy not done this to me? Why have they not helped me learn to recite the Quran? And every one of us will be asked on the day of Qiyamah on how actually we nurture our kids and what we actually do for them in this dunya. Of course, we need to groom them and train them. Some parents say, and what else? If I help my child to learn to recite the Quran, but still yet they did not listen to me, you've done your own part. It's like someone that wants to go to university, but they didn't apply for admissions, but they want to be a graduate, they want to go to university, they want to attend college. You have to apply, prepare for it. So graduating from the school or from university is now in the hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the same thing about learning the Quran and connecting more deeper with the Quran and using that in the life. So the Rasulullah mentioned in one of the hadiths, he said, وَالْقُرْآنُ حُجَّةٌ لَكَ أَوْ عَلَيْكَ. So the Quran on the day of Qiyamah will be an argument or will be an evidence for us or against us. So which one do you want it to be for you on the day of Qiyamah? Because the Quran will say, Allah revealed me to you to understand how to live your life. But why didn't you listen to it? Why didn't you recite it? And this is the same thing in which the people of hellfire on the day of Qiyamah will be telling the Malaika Allah have used to guard the hellfire that, oh, please save us. Let Allah even give us a break of a day from hellfire. And the Malaika will tell them, Alam ya'atikum rusulun minkum. Is it not that Allah has sent some messengers to you? Yatluna alaykum ayata rabbikum. They were reciting the Quran and the ayah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to you. وَيُنذِرُونَكُمْ لِقَاءَ يَوْمِكُمْ هَذَا. And they were warning you about this day. And they will say, قَالُوا بَلَى. They will say, yes, we heard the message. We heard the Quran. We heard the Rasulullah reciting it. We heard people having us to recite the Quran. We have people encouraging us to learn to recite the Quran. We have people encouraging us to work with the Quran. But the fault that they will not be on the people that encourage them anymore, it will be their own to face squarely. And the reason I'm saying this, a lot of us as parents, especially we live in the West or all over the place, we have engulfed ourselves in this dunya, or this dunya has really engulfed us. And there are a lot of scenarios that can play out in the future for a child. But if you have not actually taken the first step of preparing your child for this future that's uncertain, how do you want to have rest of mind that things will go the right way or things will go normal for a child? Is the scenario of a brother I mentioned, he's gotten to the top of his career, but despite the fact he's achieved all those milestones in life, he's not guided by the Quran and he want to end his life. He want to commit suicide because he faced a big challenge that he doesn't even know how to handle it. So this is one of the reasons why right now you don't want to sit on the fence and listen to all these videos all the week and days and think, okay, this one's just talking. I'm actually encouraging you to take action today. There are many scenarios that play out, and one of three things I feel a lot of we right now, parents or some of us, are actually doing that we need to change our way is that we are investing in everything except the Quran. So that's the first scenario. Why do you want to invest in everything except the Quran? And when you ask parents about the Quran, they will say, my child is going to learn it later on. But they invest heavily time, resources, money in all the things. So in sports, you spend thousands of dollars of money on sport, on tutoring for math, English, all other subjects, which are nice. You invest a lot in gadgets for your child, computers, phones, but you skip investing in the Quran for them. You felt you're gonna get someone that will even teach a child without taking any money. It's not about money, it's about you actually having the right mindset in the beginning to get your child to learn the Quran. Do you know the worth of the Quran? Do you felt it's really important for a child? And that will determine how you're going to invest your time and resources to get your child to learn. But imagine you invest all this money in your child except for the Quran. But 10 years later, your child now, they are on top of their classes. They are doing well academically. They're doing amazing, but they cannot even read a single ayah from the Quran with confidence. And Allah mentioned in the Quran in the ayah, which I recited last week as well, in Surah Taha, وَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِي فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكًا وَنَحْشُرُهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ أَعْمَى. That whoever turns away from my remembrance, from the Quran, Allah says, indeed, he will have a life of hardship. And we will raise him blind on the day of Qiyamah. Meaning you turning away from the Quran has a consequence in this dunya. Meaning you have a hard life, like the one I mentioned recently, the scenario of someone who's now at the top of their career in life, but now the life becomes miserable. The life becomes meaningless to them despite everything they've achieved. It doesn't make sense to them anymore. This is how life is. But if you're not guided with the Quran, life becomes much harder. So you investing in everything except the Quran is wrong approach. I'm not talking about money here. I'm talking about even time. I'm talking about emotions. So investing in everything except the Quran is a wrong approach, Muslims, brothers and sisters. The second scenario which is happening, playing out in many families right now, is a lot of you do not turn away the Quran altogether, but you give it 100th position in your heart. Everything 99% except the Quran taking 1% in your life. Some families, they felt the kids cannot learn the Quran unless on the weekend. Oh, my child is busy throughout the day. They have sport, they have this, they have that, they have karate. Subhanallah. But on the weekend, they only have chunk of few hours as well, or they have the entire weekend to do it. It doesn't really matter. You don't want to make the Quran a chore for a child. It's not about having to cram everything on the weekend. It doesn't work that way. This is not how life is. Because when you train your child with the Quran, it's not just for them to read the Quran or connect only on the weekends. What happens to the rest of the days? Are they not eating on Mondays, Wednesdays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays? Is your child not eating? So why do you want to delay the Quran till only the weekend? The Quran is not a specific knowledge that you have to sit on heavily and invest a lot of time daily. You can take few hours or few minutes daily and connect to the Quran. It's like the way you pray Salah. As a Muslim, you should be reciting the Quran daily. That's how your heart is connected. The other day I was talking to my wife about sometimes you wake up. Remember, sometimes you wake up and you feel sad, right? Nothing even happens. No one died. You didn't lose money. You didn't have anything that actually happened bad to you, but you just feel sad. This is shaitan. Shaitan comes sometimes to create fears in your heart and make you feel helpless and feel depressed. And the only solution I've seen all the time that works for me and many people is to recite on the Quran. You just take the Quran, just recite it. Subhanallah, you forget about the sorrow or whatever sadness that actually befall you right on the spot. These are some of the benefits of reciting the Quran. So when you delay it only to the weekend or having your child to learn only on the weekend, it's a wrong way to live your life as a Muslim. So you assume the weekend is enough, even the weekend is not consistent. But in 10 years old, your child realized that, oh man, I've not learned anything. Or maybe even put them, oh, I'm going to put my child in the masjid. But to be honest, I teach in the masjid as well. Many kids, they go to the masjid, it's only just one person teaching them, and many of them just play the entire time. Okay, and so what does a child learn? And they grow up in 10 years old, 20 years old, they regret that they've actually wasted a lot of time when everyone was learning or when everyone is reciting of their own age, but they cannot recite. They feel embarrassed. This is something we all need to think about. A lot of the parents will delay it for a long time. It's not even just not learning it on the weekend. Some will say, my child is busy right now. When my child turns 18 or when they turn 20 years old, they're now matured enough to make decisions for themselves, then that's when they will learn the Quran. It's the wrong approach. When you delay the Quran, it creates a lifelong gap to build connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when you delay learning of the Quran, it creates a lifelong gap between them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, their creator. It creates a lifelong gap between them and the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because we are all busy, creating daily habits, routine for many things, right? For soccer practice, for swimming practice, for tutoring math, English, and all the things that we actually value so much in this dunya. Like I said, it will come to a time these things will not matter anymore in the life of an adult, in the life of someone that's grown up. You see, sometimes you have all this stuff, you have the money, you have all the wealth, but you're still not happy. What's that? Because the life is not meant to be fun. Allah says, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي كَبَدٍ. We have indeed created man into hardship, into struggle. We're all going to struggle. So if this life is a life of struggle, so it's not just going to be your math lessons or your English or your degree that will help you navigate life. You need something beyond that to navigate your life for you to make it easy. So the more you actually delay Quran learning, you're creating that lifelong gap to help your child fix real life issues. So right from today, what you need to do, because we need to protect our kids, and it's not their fault that they're not able to learn to recite. Like I said, people committing suicide, Muslims. Why? Because they felt the life is miserable. They've not connected deeper with the Quran. So you might say, oh, there are people out there who learn the Quran and they're not really good people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide whomever he wants. Some people can recite the Quran, but they're not guided. And this is the dua that we all need to make as well. As we have our kids learn the Quran, we want to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make them be guided with the Quran, to make them be guided with the message of the Quran. And that one, it's another thing entirely, which is not going to be just about learning. It's about you showing at home and getting them to practice the Quran themselves at home. Not just reciting, but practicing the message of the Quran. And that happens when you are able to practice first and your kids follow. Okay, so it's not the fault of a child that they neglect the Quran, right? No kids, they don't want to neglect the Quran. It is you, parent, that actually make your child neglect the Quran. Because sometimes you put them in an environment that's crowded to learn the Quran and they don't feel connected to anyone there. They go to the masjid. So today we're still deceiving ourselves that, you know, online learning is not enough. You might be right, because some online classes are actually make it hard for kids to learn. Some teachers, right, not showing up to classes, not turning on video. But if you want to take your child to masjid, find the right place where it's not gonna be just your child going there. They love to be there. Then you need to have to monitor their learning habits. So is your child going there frequently, and are they completing the requirement from the madrasa? Are they doing their homework? Are they doing what they should do? And plus, how are they teaching the kids to get to learn the Quran? It's so unfortunate that a lot of kids today, I've had a lot of parents talk to me about, oh, my child has been learning for 5 years, 6 years, but he cannot recite the Quran. So what do they mean by that? The kids cannot recite from the Quran themselves. So let's say I open any page random to a child, they cannot read themselves. But they memorize some surahs, right? But those surahs they even memorize, they cannot read fluently. And they don't even know where in the Quran they can find those surahs they memorize. This is weird. And what mostly happens is when someone learns by rote memorization level without comprehension of fluency, they grow up and forget everything. A lot of adults have attested to this. You learn the Quran in those days, you memorize some surahs, but right now you cannot recite yourself. How do you feel? You feel ashamed that you cannot even recite from the Quran and teach a child, but you memorize few surahs that you used to pray. And the worst part of it is I have some people to recite those surahs they think they've memorized and was even memorized wrongly. So we're losing a lot of stuff. So what you need to do right now as a parent, we've had of the scenarios that could play out, that's playing out right now in all families. Why is not the fault of a child? Because they're not having the right environment, they're not having the right habits monitored, tracked, they're not having the right strategies to learn the Quran. So what you need to do right now, what are the solutions? So I want you to look at your schedule at home. Okay, it's good to have your child do sports, right? They run, they do all those things. It's amazing, it's great. My kids do that. But do not leave out Quran in the daily routine, Monday to Friday, to the entire day. So if it's going to be 30 minutes, you want to create that. If you are able to teach your child, that's awesome. Okay. If you're not able to teach your child, but you want your child to learn, you have options. I'll tell you those options later on, right? But create in your schedule, or for a child, specific time of the day, not just on the weekend. It could be like 3 times on the week, on the entire day, on the entire week. It could be 4 times the entire week, to get a child to learn and practice the Quran and make it consistent, like you do for all other things. And the second thing is that you need to be emotionally connected to your kids. It's not just that you're having them learning, you need to be ready there to help and praise their effort and reward them. And if you cannot teach a child, you need to make sure you pick the right program. It's not the time for you to think about, oh, okay, I want something that's really not intensive for my child. You don't want to put too much pressure on your child. That's why I said you need to look for the right program, the right teacher that will not make things harder. I give you an example. You can find someone that understands tajweed, but at the same time that has a system that can get your child directed to reading the Quran in a very short time. Not a program that had an endless plan to get a child to read fluently. So if a child is learning for years and years and they couldn't get a result, they get frustrated and they drop out. They drop interest in that. So you want the right program, which has the right method, the right system to get a child to learn. And the fourth thing, be a good example for your child. So this is the steps I want to take today, and think of how you can actually put all this together. By the way, if you need help getting to plan this, we're here for you. There's a link below this video. You can reach out to me and my team so I can guide you on how you can design this and create a routine that will help your child connect deeper with the Quran as they grow up. So they're not having to fall victim of people who commit suicide once they have everything in life and the life does not make sense to them. Or people that have all they have in life, but they feel ashamed and do not even want to be identified as Muslims because they felt they're not real Muslims, they're not good Muslims, they cannot recite and connect to the Quran. So you make decision right now today before it's too late. Before it's too late. So you can create a time, look at the schedule of your child. Before maybe you want to talk to me, check the schedule of your child, create 3-4 maximum window of time weekly that you think it will be easy for a child to attend Quran lesson or read or practice. And you should be ready to be there with them, participate with them in terms of rewarding them, praising their effort. Then you need to choose the right program. Look for a right program or teacher that can help your child. Do not look first about the money. You will make huge mistakes when you're determining the success of a child based on money. You end up having the wrong teacher because you're not looking for the quality, but you're just looking for something. So you need to make sure you get the right program, and you need to be ready to lead by example and ready to support your child and let them see you do that. So if you're ready to get started today, for those of you who are not right in our program yet, I have a few spots this week, inshallah, to talk to parents that could be interested in helping the kids cover the gaps and learn to connect deeper with the Quran. Do not assume later will come. Oh, we'll do it later. It might never come. It might never come. Every year you delay it, every month you delay it, every time you delay it, the gap widens more. And every year they grow older. They're not growing younger. They get busier. They get less time to invest. So there's a program called the Accelerated Quran Reading Program. This program has helped hundreds of students starting from 5 years old and above to get to recite the Quran in 4 months. So it's a small cohort system that really helps students to connect deeper with each other in the class and help them build the foundation of tajweed, and they're able to recite the Quran with confidence. So your child grow up, they're not feeling embarrassed in the future that they cannot recite a single ayah or a single page from the Quran with confidence themselves. So there are 2 links below this video. There's a link for the WhatsApp chat if you want to chat with me and the team right away. Click the link to say salam to us in the chat and ask any question you have. If you're ready to start right now, you're ready to get into our reading fluency program, take the action, click the link to sign up and join one of my parent demo calls to talk to me right away and sign up your child. Or if you really want to learn more about our programs, subscribe to our channel so you can learn more about our daily tips for Quran learning, inshallah. So I'll see you next week, inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت ونستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.